For many generations, India and China have been among the most populous countries in the world. But as these two countries battle for resources, one of the greatest threats to their future sustainability is becoming increasingly clear: the looming water crisis. As populations continue to swell, access to clean drinking water has become scarce across both nations. Both governments must work together if they hope to tackle this growing problem, or else face dire consequences from a lack of potable water sources for their citizens. In this video, we'll explore why India and China are facing this unresolvable issue, what exactly China is doing, its motives, and its vast implications for world peace. Hello, and welcome to Businessville. But before we begin, make sure you subscribe to our channel and hit that bell icon to receive notifications whenever we post a new video. Without further ado, let's start. The two superpowers. India doesn't like what China does near its border. India isn't going to let China just do whatever it wants. India is strong and growing quickly on the world stage, just like China. Now, the two countries are going to war over water, which is one of the most basic needs of all people. China is building infrastructure to dry up one of India's largest rivers in an attempt to slow down the country, while India is taking steps to get rid of this risk. All of this is creating tensions between the two superpowers that could lead to dangerous confrontations. These disagreements are getting so bad that we might be seeing the groundwork for a possible war. If nothing is done to stop it, this war could pull the whole world into it and cause a nuclear winter. So how did we go from needing water to loading rockets? Let's find out. China water crisis. China is in the middle of one of the worst water crises in the world. As the droughts get worse, there is less water to go around. And it's not just because of the drought. China is being hurt by its huge population and the huge amounts of water it needs for agriculture, household, and industrial use. When you consider that almost all of China's people live in the dry north, while most of the country's water resources are in the south, you can see why this is a crisis. But that's not the end of the bad news. Apart from the direct usage of water, China relies quite significantly on hydroelectric power to generate electricity. China needs a lot of energy, which goes without saying. You can't become the world's manufacturing center without being dependent on energy, right? This is why countries protect their water supplies. Whoever controls the water can control the nation. It is this fact that brings us to the conflict between India and China. China's brutality. In a bid to ease its own burden, China is addressing some of its water and energy needs. However, it comes at a price. What is the price, you ask? Well, nations will be paying the price, namely India, Bangladesh, and a few other Asian countries. Let me describe. The Brahmaputra River is 1,800 miles long and starts in southwest Tibet, China, where it is called the Yarlung Tsangpo. From there, it goes on and enters India in the mountainous, remote northeastern state of Arunachal Pradesh, where it is called the Siang. The river then flows through the plains of the neighboring state of Assam and into the Bay of Bengal, where it ends in Bangladesh. The conflict. So, what does the conflict have to do with any of this? So China started building a hydroelectric dam on the river to make electricity. They did this in a county in Tibet called Jayaka. Now, if China built one hydroelectric plant to provide energy for the roughly 23,000 people who live there, that would be fine. It would be more than enough. But China has built not one, not two, but 4 hydroelectric plants in Jayaka so far. Now, why would China want 4 superstations in the same low population area, all of which are within a few kilometers of each other? Well, it's easy to see where the problem is when you think about the fact that these hydroelectric stations are built upstream and cut down on the water pressure and amount that flow down to India and Bangladesh. China has built power plants for a small city that don't need to be there just to make India feel bad, or at least that's how it looks. Not only that, but China also planned to build more dams. In fact, 3 of them. You can see why India is angry. There is a mountain of evidence that the infrastructure that has been built is having an effect on the lower parts of the waterway in India. The water level in the Brahmaputra is dropping, which is a simple and clear sign of this. India retaliating. Hundreds of millions of farmers and people who live along that river will be in very bad shape. China's actions are basically a very harsh way to punish India and Bangladesh. This is not something that India will stand for. India and China have fought in the past. All of the border disputes between China and India in the past show that India is not afraid to use force if it needs to. In addition to putting pressure on Beijing, India is thinking about a plan to build a 10-gigawatt hydropower project in a remote eastern state. This would help India protect its own interests, while also putting pressure on Beijing. We don't know if the Brahmaputra will cause a war between the two countries, but for the sake of peace, we hope that it doesn't. What do you think about the situation between China and India? Tell us in the comments below. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. We appreciate your time. We'll see you later.